Welcome to Almost Live. I'm your host, Shane Phillips, and I'm here with Toby Simpson from Striver and David McKenzie from McKenzie Jones, and we're talking about candidate mobility. So is candidate mobility important?
I think in this market it has to be. I mean, where you've got our next door neighbour developing huge mega developments and their job market, I'm talking about Saudi obviously, going gangbusters, and the UAE is, is fairly flatlining. I think you as a candidate, you have to be open to opportunities now.
But I think it's not Saudi that's going gangbusters, it's just Riyadh, because if you look at the other cities, they're struggling.
Oh no, I don't think that's the case. We're working in some very remote parts of Saudi at the moment.
Oh, okay. Like Yanbu.
Yanbu and Jizan. We're doing stuff in Mecca at the moment, and we're doing a lot of stuff in Jeddah. So I think the whole of Saudi is there are some really interesting things going on there.
What we're seeing is Jeddah economy is being a bit struggled, and they're also having a talent drain from Riyadh.
Absolutely.
And Daman and Khobar as well. It's not. I mean, there's nothing where you're really seeing when you see a Saudi who said, "Oh, I just got 100% lift in my pay," is because he's moved to Riyadh.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? With Saudi candidates, it's very rare they'll move if they're based in Riyadh. They've lived in Riyadh. It's very rare they'll move to Jeddah or vice versa. It seems to be a real. Whereas in the UAE, I think if you look in certain markets, you need to be open to ideas where you can move to different parts of the GCC, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, etc. I think those markets need to be looked at with a fresh pair of eyes now.
Well, it used to be very hard to move someone from the Western province in Saudi to Riyadh, but now it is just the known fact that all the big positions are happening in Riyadh, and it's not easy in parts of the Western province. Certainly, as a lot of traditional industries have had either severe structural problems or of slowing down. But it's a much more general trend than that, and I believe I'm right in saying in Saudi you have now 1.5 million young people hitting the job market every year. Now, traditionally, what happened, even as recently as 5 or 10 years ago, is that a young Saudi would sort of graduate in their hometown or come back to their hometown. They'd still live with their parents, their extended family, for a long time. They'd get a job with their uncle's business, or they get a job in whatever the local employer might be, and there's always one. So it might be the electricity company, or it might be a local government office. But now, simply because of the volume of young people that are graduating, those traditional employers cannot absorb that level of talent, and particularly when you have a lot of government restructuring where you're cutting a lot of those regional costs. So as a result, mobility in Saudi is an enormous trend, with sort of the global trend of urbanization. A lot of people moving from smaller regional centres to major urban centres to go and seek that work, and that has a massive impact on other economies. For example, the mortgage business, because all of a sudden people have to have their own home. The kind of the house construction business. There's a lot changing in Saudi, and keeping an eye on these sort of demographic changes are really important to keep the pulse on the economy.
In terms of mobility for the expatriate candidate now, do they need to consider, if they really want to continue to have a successful career, should they be ready to pack up and move to Riyadh?
I think you've got to be open to the right role. If the right role's in Riyadh, then you've got to go to Riyadh. And we've placed quite a few senior people in HR who are doing the weekly commute. So they're working Sunday to Thursday in Riyadh and then coming back for the weekend, because the job is paying the right salary level, it's the right opportunity. But the good news is, I think, and the bad news for Saudi, if a good job comes up here with those things, right salary, right location, they'll move back in a heartbeat. So I think at the moment you've got a fairly transitionary workforce. I mean, the 720 out of Dubai into Riyadh is rammed. Trying to get a space on that flight, you do it regularly, is difficult, isn't it?
It is, yeah, absolutely.
And that's symptomatic of, maybe Dubai's becoming a dormitory town for the rest of the GCC.
So there you have it, the booming market of Riyadh affecting the entire GCC. This is Almost Live. Thanks for watching.